Comrades, welcome back to Realpolitiks. It's the next episode. It's now 2067, and that means it's almost 50 years since we started. I think we can just do a very quick overview of what's happening in the world right now and what has happened since we started. So let's start with ourselves. Obviously, we've taken over all of our immediate neighbors here, starting with Namibia, Botswana, Zimbabwe, and of course Mozambique, the most recent, and we still have the warmonger level based on that. So after that, I would like to continue this expansion by looking at Zambia and then the DRC plus Malawi and still Madagascar as well. So I think beyond that we'll probably draw the line. I don't know, Tanzania might be another option, but that would definitely be the last one. So why am I not mentioning Angola? I was thinking since the last episode, since Angola asked us to station some of our nuclear missiles in their country, would they not be a decent option for adding to our bloc, since they're anyway trying to sort of build a partnership with us? So I thought about it, and let's have a look at Angola. Obviously, they're not the strongest country in the world, but we've determined now that Australia and even New Zealand would not be interested in making a bloc alliance with us. And of course, Nigeria and Egypt both have their own blocks, and even somebody like Ethiopia would be a bit of a challenge, because you can see we don't nearly have enough units. So rather than conquering Angola, I think since they made the first move, we can continue that relationship. They are also authoritarian, just like we are. Interventionism is relatively on the lower side, but the personal control is quite high, and their militarism is also relatively high. In terms of their military, they're actually surprisingly decent for the region. I mean, so far we've been coming up against countries with 1 aircraft. They have 7, and 7 armor and 10 infantry. I know it's not the absolute best, but I think it's decent enough to add to a bloc. They also have the navy, so I guess that's an advantage if you pick them over somebody like Zambia, which of course doesn't have a coastline. So yes, they're not obviously in any block at the moment. If we just have a look here on diplomacy, it's a 68% chance of success. So it's not guaranteed, but all we need would be a little bit higher relations with them. So I'm going to institute that right now. Start a diplomatic mission to try and build cordial relations with them. And obviously that will start once the clock runs again. Beyond that, in Africa, I think the only change since the game started was Sudan taking South Sudan back again. Other than that, it was just the bloc formations in Nigeria and Egypt, but I don't think any other borders have changed. So surprisingly, this has been one of the more stable continents. No real changes, so interesting, of course, than what we've been doing. In Europe, there is still a war going on in the Baltic, and the Baltic Union, which is now basically, I always get confused, this is Lithuania, that one is Latvia, is basically just Lithuania. That's all that's left of the Baltic Union, but they are on the losing side with Russia, which of course has steadily been trying to rebuild the Soviet Union. Other than that, nothing really changed here, other than, of course, the Germans converting their country into Europia, so I guess that's the ultimate form of the European Union. It's a political union as well, but no one else has joined. I know France was listed as a participant when that notification came up, but they have not really changed in any way, so it could be because they had their own bloc. I don't know if they still do. Yes, they do. It clearly says that. I don't know. I think Malta, yes. Malta is one of the countries in their bloc. So maybe that sort of prohibited them from entering this Europia state. I don't know. Perhaps that will still happen later. Then, of course, there were some changes here in Eastern Europe. The Ukraine does not exist anymore. Belarus is still there. Of course, the Baltic Union is being broken up steadily. Georgia was swallowed up by Turkey, so there was a war by Russia against Georgia as well, but they were too late. And surprisingly, other than Kazakhstan, which is now in South Korea's bloc, the other Central Asian countries are still in the bloc of India, despite them being bankrupt repeatedly because of India's many wars. You can see these are also still in their bloc, so there's 4 of them. And that bloc is quite durable, surprisingly. I mean, we've seen so many times how blocs break up almost immediately after forming. But this has been probably the most long-standing alliance on the map. Pakistan, I don't know, there's been a bit of a change here in Kashmir, which they lost to India. But India has lost both Assam and Rajasthan in their various wars, but they also have Sri Lanka in their bloc. So in terms of bloc, they are probably the most aligned country. I don't think anyone else has so many countries in their bloc. China took over Taiwan, of course. Southeast Asia, I don't think there was a real change. Obviously, there were some bloc alignments. Nothing, of course, in Australasia. But in the Korean Peninsula, very recently, in fact, the South Koreans won over North Korea, which is now just called the State of North Korea and is on its way to becoming a democracy, which is a good thing, I think. Then, yes, North America, the US has conquered the northern part of Mexico, and they are in fact winning in another war against Mexico. I think this is their 3rd or 4th one. So Chihuahua, I think this is called, yes, so Chihuahua is the 51st state of the Union, I would think. Then South America, no wars as far as I can recall, so pretty stable. But in Central America, there was the United States of Central America. But Nicaragua, I don't know if they were part of that. It's surprising, I think they were, but they must have left, because we now see 2 parts to the United States of Central America. Interesting. Caribbean, nothing really has changed, so that basically sums up the political situation on Earth. Of course, there's still under the water various aspects, like we control undertide, and I think there was the other one in the Indian Ocean, Nautilia, which started as an international project, but the politics there broke down, and now we are the only ones controlling that. The Germans also still have their base in the Pacific called Deponia. That was the first one. And so that sums it up for the water. There might be more. There's so much space under the ocean still, so I wouldn't be surprised if we see more events like that. Then there was, of course, the race for Antarctica, which also we won, basically. We got the biggest share, which was Victoria Land. But we were not the only ones. The Japanese also got a piece, and the Canadians, that's right. So we're sharing it with those 2 countries. Then in space, that was really our biggest victory, I would say. We started off with the Lagrangian point number 1. We won that one, which was the most prestigious one, I think. Then we also basically won the campaign for the moon, where we built the tourism infrastructure, so I would assume that's been a big hit with the tourists. And which one is this? This is the United States. They control Ceres, which was, of course, I think that was a relatively early one that they took over, before we got to Venus and those ones, but that's of course in the asteroid belt. Then the other Lagrangian point here is the Japanese, so of course they are active here as well, and they own Mercury, so not very, so they've been quite active. Then Venus, of course, is ours as well, and we are now in a race for the remaining moons on the map. Then of course in Jupiter we also control Europa, but Ganymede is part of Germany, or at least now it's Europea, so they almost, it's almost interesting, they should have got Europa, then it was Europa for Europea, but anyway. Then Callisto is Canadian, so the Canadians are actually quite active in space and in the ocean, or at least on Antarctica. Then the Chinese have Lagrangian point number 2, but I don't think they actually have any other planets. Triton is also one that we're campaigning for at the moment. Then Mars was a big thing. Phobos was the Japanese, that's right. But hey, there's our friends again. Live long and prosper. We see them almost every video. So Mars we also got. So we are definitely the dominant space winner. But then also we got Deimos, but the Russians basically threatened us and we gave it to them, which I think turned out in the long run to be the right choice, because there was never any follow-up to that and the Russians never asked for anything more. So I think it was the right choice at the time anyway. Then of course Enceladus and Titan are still up for grabs. So that basically sums it up. Let's get going. I was also thinking after last time, school massacre, that with the nuclear weapons we might just go for the mad thing. Why not? You know, if we're gonna use nukes, we might as well go all the way. So this doesn't look good. Some college kid pulled out a gun at school today and killed a bunch of other students and 2 teachers. It's a national tragedy. People want to know what we're going to do about it. They're demanding answers. So it's either nothing can be done or we must do something. I think we must do something. It will cost action points and more personal control, which I suppose is why something like this would not fly in America. I know they do have their efforts to try and stem this kind of thing, but the issue of personal control is always a big issue. So anyway, I'll say we must do something. We're anyway a part dictatorship, so it's par for the course. Then, yes, we'll see what happens now. That's definitely Mexico getting it. HQ attack, and they succeeded. So, yes, the US is getting some more warmonger level, but they just want to finish off the Mexicans, I guess. I wonder if they're going to take more of the country this time, because they granted dual citizenship to the Mexicans last time. Success with Angola, that's a good thing. And South Korea status and China status have degraded in the stock market, so let's fix that. We're almost, well, it's still 200 days till we can pick another country for the stock exchange, and we're back to almost 20% of the share, so that's also a good thing. That was a problem last time. Anyway, let's see if the Angolans will be willing to join. So, what does this actually say? Relations, we have units. We barely have it, you see, so it's a good thing we do it now before the Angolans build more units. Then, implementation cost, maintenance is not terrible, so we'll accept that. And they refused. Wonderful. So I guess they are not willing to take it further than storing or keeping our nuclear weapons there. Block of Mexico destroyed, and Mexico is still standing. I'm sure many Mexicans will be happy about that, but I'm sure there was some penalty. Hackers attacked our entire computer system. They caused a lot of havoc and huge data losses. Well, that is something I guess in the modern world that we have to live with. We can either improve the system or pay compensation. But now the question is, if we pay compensation, is that going to still reduce the chance of this happening again? Because then I would rather improve the system so that we don't have the same vulnerabilities. But anyway, I think the right thing to do is to pay compensation. We have to help whoever was a victim of that. For example, if they hacked into people's bank accounts and things. Peace treaty between Mexico, of course, and the US, but we don't know what the details were. I would love to see somewhere that we can actually see what the actual agreement was. Naval manufacturing is done, so let's get working on the next thing. Oh, and I must not forget this. I've been blabbering so much. We are still busy with this To Infinity and Beyond campaign, so that's going to cost us and, generate a lot of debt, but I do want to still take part. So let's look at the next thing we can do. Military maybe, but I don't think so, because these things that I'm interested in, they cost simply too much. I mean, to get the transporter, which is still a long-term goal, We need too many other things. Naval units, maybe. Let's just see. Yes, we will need naval units, and that costs also 12,000, which is not a great thing. These are all terribly expensive technologies, because I suppose it means that we have to set up that whole industry in our country. So what else is here? Cyber warfare. That seems oddly appropriate given the attack that we just got. Attack on another country's computer network. It costs us a bit more than we can afford right now, so I wonder if we shouldn't leave that for now. Plans developed for various unexpected combat situations. That could do. It gives us more score, which is always welcome, and it costs 1,000 at least. I know it's still a bit high, but okay, we do it. The mad thing will just have to wait until this to infinity and beyond is done, because the debt is going to get out of control here. It's already 32,000, so yes, that's the highest it's ever been. But anyway, Europea wants something. Let's see. We're proposing mutual intelligence. We're proposing mutual cooperation between our intelligence services. We could definitely learn a lot from each other. Money, of course, but we... What is this? Gain a core on a neighbor province. Chance to fail is less. Oh yes, I want that. That also means that within 800 days, so within the next 2 years, before the end of the decade, we have to create another core on another country. Otherwise, we won't get the benefit from that. And I definitely want it. Mutual cooperation agreement, and that is with Bolivia, Ecuador, and Peru. That's interesting. So they're building closer relations there in the Andes. Low stock exchange. Oh dear. 0%. That is totally sabotage. Spy actions can cause bankruptcy. Somebody has been doing that, but obviously we didn't catch them, so that's why it dropped to 0. 100, so we're still very high warmonger. Pay. I don't care what it costs. We are getting whole planets or moons there, so it's worth it. There, Canada, no less. Can you believe it? Trying to spy on us. And Canada is borderline authoritarian now, so I guess the liberal side of it is gone now, as it is with most countries in this game by this date. Let's see, what else is happening in Canada? Don't have the strongest force here. Angola is the same actually. Interesting. So yes, we're still number 3 and we're still on track for getting the bonus again next time. Japan is still very close to us though, and Europea is not very far ahead, so I would like to surpass it. At least, I think that is the minimum we should aim for. The US is too far ahead, I think, at least for this game. Iceland, so Iceland is in Canada's block. Interesting, so they're going for the northern countries there. Loan taken. Switzerland! What's happening in this world? We managed to catch agents from Switzerland trying to spy on us. Hey! They're still a democracy, but the level there is rising towards authoritarianism. Almost 3 days. Do it. So I really wonder in the future at this time whether this is going to be a real situation. There is Pakistan bankrupt again, in the sense that so many countries turn towards authoritarianism. The US is definitely authoritarian here. The Canadians are... Actually, they are authoritarian, but they're basically going down again. I guess that was because of the spy action, maybe. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So they're authoritarian. The British are authoritarian. The French, the German, Europeans, Spanish, Polish are still Democrats. Brazil's status has degraded. Let's just do that because we don't get a lot of money from this right now. Or is it gone? No, it's back to normal. Well, not quite, but it's at least 11%. Chinese are, of course, authoritarian. Japan also. Australia is still on the low side there, but it wouldn't take much to turn it authoritarian. So yes, it's an interesting future, I suppose, but not necessarily the happiest one. So next country to add to the block, or to the stock exchange partnership. Let's just improve all of these. There we go. So almost 11% still. And that project is done. Let's see who is available. Who did we lose last time? Not sure. Forgotten already. What about India? Would they be a decent partner? Only 2, but of course that doesn't show if we invest fully in that relationship. Nigeria seems to always be available, and actually they seem to offer us more than India. Interesting. Well, we don't really have many choices right now, and I would rather have somebody than nobody. Then at least we're getting some money. So okay, Nigeria, welcome. Actually gives us a lot more than South Korea. Okay, I guess it's also because they like us a bit more. If we just look at the relationship, obviously it still suffers around the world, but you can see Southern Africa seems to like us a bit more, including Nigeria, but here it's almost all red. So anyway, a bit more money for us. Greece is bankrupt, and these were just the statuses in the stock market. I think all of them are taken care of. Let's just get rid of all of that and now invest in something else, even though again we have to pay for this to infinity and beyond thing very soon. So what can we do? Something that will help us with the economy is always a good thing. What about free weekends? Don't we have that already? Well, not really. I guess this means everyone must not work unless you are in emergency services or something, and then you get overtime. Well, I guess you do anyway. I don't know. Introduction of lawfully enforced free work days. Interventionism goes up, unhappiness goes down. Unemployment will actually go up a little bit, but our level should still be at 0, so I think we can offset that. So all that we really get out of it is a drop in unhappiness. I mean, that is a worthy goal in and of itself, but right now I think we just have to find something that's going to help us a bit more. Infrastructure, I guess that's a good thing because it does lead to GDP growth in the long run. So yes, the most technologically advanced public infrastructure, do it. After that we can do the hyperspeed corridors theory. It's not that expensive actually. Yes, to infinity and beyond is not cheap, so I guess if you want to play in the realm of the big players, you have to pay for it. Brood X, well, that doesn't sound good. Gigantic swarms of cicadas are attacking our fields. We must do something to protect our crops. Kill those insects, kill them all. Lose money, lose action points, that's okay. Nothing can be done. GDP growth for half a year will drop and unhappiness will grow. No, we must do something, so pay. So yes, I guess there's the motto again. It's only money. But this is going to take us a long time to pay off. But if we have another 2 moons, I think that will really help. I mean, right now we're in the race for Titan and Enceladus, or Enceladus, so that's worth it. I mean, this is actually, we're vying for worlds here. Panama, you want money, I'm sorry, not now. So yes, let's not look at the depressing world affairs map. That just doesn't really inspire a lot of confidence. Diplomatic summit, there we go, there's the thing between France and Europea. A recent diplomatic summit ended in a serious breakdown between the 2 powers. There is no way we can sit on the fence. We must pick a side. I'll pick Europea because they're in our stock market. And I think it's just smarter to get a bit better relationship with them. So yes, France is not here, so it's fine. Gotta be self-centered there, or self-interested. Hey, Poland, do you want nukes? We're looking to expand our nuclear arsenal so we can ensure, they want to buy them from us, so we can ensure the security of our nation. Now look, I would certainly be interested in getting some money, but the warhead quantity, okay, you're going to take 20%, so we have, how many? 50, I think, right now. Relations will go up with the whole world will go down. Sure, whatever you want. Why not? I mean, it's not a good thing to do. I was very tempted for a second there to say they are not toys, but again, this buys us a little bit of influence and it gives us more money. So I think it's worth it. It might cause another nuclear catastrophe if there's a war with Poland, but on the other hand, I think Poland has been trodden on so much in history. I think it's not a bad idea to help them a little there. So another thing to do, that went quick. Rail web, that's also GDP growth. Oh no, forget about it. That's just insane. Improved bureaucracy? No, that's insane as well. Let's find something more reasonable. Extended labor laws, that could go. Further expansion of the work laws. It just gives us more interventionism, but it does open up the possibility of getting the GDP growth under the trade unions. But the growth will drop actually. No, I don't want that. Forget about that. So let's find something else. Military, what about MAD? 10,000. Don't even think about it. I'm tempted, but yes, I'm spending money a bit too freely here. So let's look at something else completely. Message there. That's alright. Immigration policy maybe? Accept immigrants, so growth will go up, unhappiness will go up, personal control will go down. It'll cost us a bit of money, but yes. So what does this lead to? More population growth, basically. Interesting. Could be a good idea, but maybe not immediately. Health monitoring chips, no. I want something that gives us a benefit immediately, or at least very soon. Culture programs? Yes, that's what I want. HDI plus 10. So we're at 95 now. But this is a permanent increase. Propagation of culture in the social life. So that's decent and it doesn't cost that much. I know maintenance is a permanent thing, but okay. So yes, what's this? Colony crisis. Now it's Australia, and what do they want from us? Countries with space colonies are keeping all the resources for themselves. Listen, too bad, Australia. I'm turning against you in this game now, because you don't want to be in our block, first of all, and second of all, if you wanted a piece of cosmic land, then you should have paid to compete in those contests like we are doing. But no, you want to take the easy route, just like Russia. But so, yes, too bad for you. Greece, what do you want? Specialists needed. For further improvement of our country, we need some highly educated groups of specialists to help us introduce economic reforms. And we lose 8 HDI. Forget about it. Absolutely out of the question. So sometime soon we're going to have to put a claim on somebody else. How long is this thing gonna last though? I mean, this is quite a long campaign here. 69. This is probably the most expensive one we've ever had. So if we do have a claim on someone, who will it be? Probably Madagascar, I think. Let's just have a look at what resources they have. 25, 15... 6. Okay, but the Congo is split into many regions. Maybe we should just go for the Congo. I mean, that seems to be a good prize. And I think we can benefit from that. So if we do claim a core here, let's just see. Spy operation. How do I do that again? So there goes the clock again. But now I'm just trying to see here. Decrease. I know it was under spy operation. Damage reputation, spread dissent, army morale, and influence political system. There is no core that I can claim. That's interesting. But also maybe the problem here would be, even if we do get a core, the country consists of at least 4 pieces, and if we then rightfully claim that one, we won't get as high a warmonger score, but we will still then have to make war 3 more times. So if I'm going to take the penalty of a high warmonger level, then we might as well just eat up the whole country in one go. So what about Zambia? They are one province, so is that still possible here? Yes. Oh, that's obviously why. It's a neighboring province. Okay, definitely do that. So they are our bridge to the Congo. Do it. It costs us a bit, but we can get some score if it succeeds. So I think we'll leave that for the next episode. We're on the way to the Central African region, but this thing in the, just stop again, in space is going to eat up a huge portion of our budget and create so much debt for us in the future. I think probably what I'll have to do is at some point, you see, participation is 18%. It was just now 21. So once it gets somewhere in the 20s, I'll pull the plug or something like that. Just keep it at that level. Otherwise, we're going to go totally bankrupt in the next year, which I really don't want. You see, it's only in September of this year. Okay, no, it's not that long. All right, pay the money. So worrying for nothing. But anyway, we'll see in the next episode how we're going to do with this debt now. But thank you for watching and have a fantastic day.